What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/confession, the subreddit where people post their deepest, darkest secrets for us to enjoy. I've picked out 5 of the very best posts from the past month, and I'm going to go through them in this video. Let's jump straight into the first one. I graduated from college and cheated in almost everything, just like the title says. When I started college, I had this idea that everything would be easy and simple because I would be studying something that I was passionate about. I was not entirely wrong. However, the problem started when I had teachers who said things like 1 + 1 = 3, and in the exams, if you answered 1 + 1 = 3, you got 0 because it was really 2. Overall, mediocre teachers. At first, I did not try to cheat or anything. I thought that was wrong and yada yada, but all that changed for me when I had to take the same class for the 4th time. A class that I could have passed the second time easily if the teacher had given me in the last exam 1 point out of the 6 that the answer was worth, because although the answer was incorrect, the procedure to find the answer was correct. My error/mistake was by placing a wrong number. The stress of a test, I guess, made me see an 8 instead of a 6. After that, I had enough. I realized that teachers cared more about the grade you get than what you learn in class. So, from that moment on, I started to cheat, and cheat as much as I could. Now, I did this on every class that I felt I had bad teachers in, and it wasn't worth it. So, what did I do? Take out my cell phone during the exam, copy myself from and with classmates, have someone who was good at the subject come in and take the exam and put my name on it, pay a private teacher to send me the answers by message, use the old works of other people who had already seen that class and change words or the topic of them, when reviewing the exam, erase some incorrect answers and put in correct ones and tell the teacher that he made a mistake when correcting my exam, yada yada. There were so many things I did to pass different subjects and classes: maths, physics, statistics, chemistry, and many others. I was studying 2 majors at the same time. The pressure I felt at 18-19 was too much, and the frustration was indescribable. I wanted to graduate and finish college, and yes, I made it. I ended everything, and finally I graduated in 2019. I will not lie, I am happy with what I achieved, but I know it was wrong because there are certain things that I did not learn. However, those things I know are not entirely my fault. It's the fault of those mediocre teachers who didn't teach their classes correctly and were more concerned about grades than someone learning what was important. And if you are wondering, yes, I also cheated on my final projects and thesis. Guys, let's be honest, we've all cheated on some sort of test in one part of our lives over the years, let's be realistic. But cheating on every single test when you're at college or university, oh my god, I mean, that has to be next level. That is mad. Now, at the end of every one of these posts, I think I'm going to give it a rating in terms of how bad the confession was or how bad OP was in the story. For this one, I'm not going to lie, I'm not too sure. Part of me thinks that obviously it's really bad morally to cheat in all your exams and pass when you don't really deserve to have passed. But on the other hand, I actually really like what he did here. You know, they say work smart, not hard, and that is what this guy did. Yeah, it wasn't probably the best way to go about it, but he got what he wanted. He passed his degree. I don't know, I'm going to give it a 5 down the middle. Now moving on to our second confession. I was the ghost that had been tormenting our family for years. My family all believe in the supernatural. We moved into a new house that was very old. I would joke that it was haunted. It started off as pranks on my siblings, but things moved on more and more. I originally only scared my siblings, but moved on to scaring my parents too. Things I did included: number 1, moving objects, toys, etc. I would sometimes take them and hide them, then place them somewhere obvious. It would freak people out because they'd think it was the ghost that did it. Sneaking around at night, twisting doorknobs, and then running away. If I ever got caught walking in the hall, I'd say I heard a noise and was going to check. Lifting up a floorboard under my bed and sliding a branch into the cavity in between the floor and the ceiling. I would rattle the branch to cause scary sounds, and it would cause the chandelier below my room to shake. I would write sinister things on the mirror so that when people used the shower, they'd read it. I always made it seem unclear but scary. Kill with it, or murder the child, etc. I would teach our parrot those phrases as well, so he'd randomly say it and freak everyone out. What is going on here? I would open my window and use a branch to rattle and scratch on the younger siblings' bedroom windows at night. They used to scream and tell my parents they saw a ghost. I hid a mini speaker behind a cabinet in my living room. I went out to play with friends, but during the time I'd be out, I'd make horrible noises through a wireless microphone. I'd come home to my siblings and parents and act like I didn't know why they're upset. And finally, I would lie and say I saw a monster in my room standing over my bed when I was sleeping. I would scream in the night, so my parents would come running in and give me attention. My brothers and sister would do the same for some reason, but they actually thought they'd seen something. I don't torment my family pretending to be a ghost anymore. I actually moved out years ago. I feel guilty because it wasn't a harmless prank and went way too far. I did this for like 2 years till my parents made us move house. I didn't even hate the area we moved to or the house. I was just bored. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie guys, this is getting a high 7, maybe even an 8 for me. It started out as just a harmless prank, but the more I read down that list, I was like, wait, what? You did this for years and years, and you made your family move house. You made your family sell their house just because you were playing a prank for a couple of years. Like, what? That is terrible, man. I'm not gonna lie, it is quite funny. But yeah, that's gotta be, I'm gonna give that an 8. I mean, making your family sell their house, that has to be an 8 for me. Guys, let me know down below. Also, yeah, as I give my own ratings on how bad I think these confessions are, guys, leave yours down below as well in the comments and I'll go and check them out. Alright, next story. I yelled at my grandpa who is suffering from dementia. Now it's the last memory he had of me. When I was a teen, my Lolo, grandpa, stayed with us. At that time, he suffered from early signs of dementia. I'm actually very fond of him, and we were actually very close because he took care of us since early childhood, and he was present when I was growing up. I was not the perfect child, nor was I a good person when I was a teen. I often lose my temper over the simplest things. Since my grandpa was suffering dementia, he often repeated things, like topics, questions, etc. I was busy at something back then, and my grandpa asked me for the 5th time when will dinner be ready. I easily lost my temper and yelled at him. I remember the words I said that I would regret forever. I remember saying, "Lolo, for the last time, it's too freaking early. Why can't you freaking understand?" I saw and felt the emotions he just felt and immediately said sorry. For the first time, I saw tears in my grandpa's eyes. For the first time, I saw tears in my grandpa's eyes, and he said sorry for having dementia. A couple of months later, his dementia worsened to Alzheimer's, and the first time I saw him again, I saw him repulsed, and he had that same reaction from that day. And every time I would visit after that, I would always be welcomed by that emotion. I freaking hated my teen self for being a self-absorbed douchebag. My grandpa died last year, and I'm the only one he never mentioned by name in his will. Oh man, honestly, I'm gonna give you a low rating for this one, mate, to be honest. On its own, I think that one singular event is probably quite bad. I guess it looks quite bad, guys. But overall, I can completely understand your reaction. If you're getting asked, for example, over and over again, maybe day by day by day, for stuff that you've already said, you're allowed to snap once. It makes sense to me. Yes, he has dementia, your granddad, but come on, like, it's one time that you've snapped, it sounds like. So overall, I think it's bound to happen, you know, over the course of multiple years, seeing him day after day, getting the same thing asked you again and again. I honestly don't think that was that bad at all. Yeah, it's a shame that it's the last thing he remembers from you. That is just so unlucky. But you've got to think to yourself that it is a disease, and that is not the way you acted to your grandpa the vast majority of the time. If you can take some sort of solace in that, I think that'd be best for you. But overall, I'm going to give you a 2. I'll give you a 3. How about that? Now for our 4th confession. Honestly, guys, I'm really enjoying this, and I hope you guys are too. I knowingly lost my bar $850 in sales in 1 hour and covered it up. I just started a new bartending job in a heavily populated city. I'm a good bartender, but lack the experience that's usually necessary to get jobs downtown, but I had some connections. Regardless, the circumstances have made me feel the need to work my butt off to fill the knowledge and skill gap, not ask stupid questions and just fake it till I make it. It's typically a high volume bar, but with COVID it has been slower and we're hurting for money. I had my first solo shift post training a few days ago and I was the only person with bar experience, aside from the general manager who was working. It's a massive venue and I might not see a manager all shift unless I need someone, in which case I call them over on the walkie. During training, I was told that I'd be bartending alone a lot and was expected to trust my judgment and problem solve, only turning to management when absolutely necessary. It was busier than expected. I was flustered with no backup and had a group come in for some drinks. They ordered margaritas and wanted Casamigos. We're in the process of liquidating to make room for better products and only had 2 bottles of Blanco above well, no Casamigos. One bottle barely had enough for 1 margarita. The other was practically full and had a name similar to Casamigos, so I figured it'd be similar in price and quality. This was a massively dumb mistake. I told the group the name of tequila, said it was similar to what they wanted, though I didn't know and was just trying to get their drinks made so I could tend to the long line forming. They said, yeah, use that bottle. I was slammed and made about 10 margs for the group before getting a chance to ring them in, so 20 ounces of tequila. I can't find a button in the system for the tequila and I'm about to call the GM on walkie when I decide just to Google the bottle price, compare it to Casamigos and decide a fair selling price accordingly. If you buy a bottle of Casamigos at store, it's about $50. Now we charge $15 for a Casamigos margarita, roughly a third of store price for a 2-ounce pour, some triple sec and lime juice. Just make your margs at home, kids. The bottle I served, if you buy in store, is $300. So a margarita based on our upcharge on Casamigos and our other tequila, $100. This tequila was stuff highballers would get to sip on the rocks and impress their dates, not the kind of tequila you mix in a drink. Their tab for 10 margaritas in their hour-long visit would have roughly been $1,000, and they were expecting a $150 tab. I knew if I dropped a check with a 1K total, even though they'd agreed to the bottle, they'd get the general manager over, who would most definitely change their tab to reflect Casamigos prices, because that's what I implied pricing would be like. Then I'd face disciplinary action, possibly get fired, and definitely have a significant portion of my pay cuts. So I figured I'd just skip all that messiness, give them a $150 tab, and pray no one ever finds out. I know the last bar manager didn't do inventory, and I don't think the new bar manager has had the chance to yet, so I don't think I'll be caught. Part of me feels awful and wants to confess, but another part of me knows our upcharges are ridiculous, and the bottle definitely cost a lot less than $300 from their distributor. But the bottle is significantly lower, and now knowing how expensive it is, I'm guessing other bartenders keep an eye on it. I know I would. At least my guests unknowingly had top shelf tequila at a crazy low price. No margarita will probably ever taste as good again. Now this one I think is a little bit tougher because first of all, yes, it's a completely honest mistake. That is absolutely fine. You know, everyone makes honest mistakes in their lives. This one was just a little bit more expensive, but look, it happens. However, not telling your manager about it, I get why you wouldn't tell him, but it's going to come out at some point, mate. It is, because they can see the level of the bottle. How many shots was it? Did they say 10 shots? 10 shots, 20 ounces therefore worth of drink. That is enough to notice, especially on a very expensive bottle of tequila, as you said. I think you're going to get found out, and I think it's better if you just told your manager in the first place, because it's not going to be good for you when he finds out. That's all I'm going to say. It's one of those, isn't it, where you don't want to tell someone immediately because you're like, oh no, what have I done? I've cost my bar over $800. But then the more you think about it, you're more like, yeah, I just got to suck it up and tell everyone in case they, they find out later and then it's going to look even worse. I'm going to give this person a 4 though, not that bad. Now for our final story. I never told my parents that I finished my degree and landed a 6-figure career. My father was not the nicest man, always putting me down and pretty much expected me to amount to nothing my whole childhood. I was 25 and discovered an employment recruiter who could get my feet in the door at my local municipal government offices. I never said a word to my parents. That same year, I finished my degree. Fast forward to this last month, I was promoted to the second highest position in the department. Still not a word, and I'm now 29 years old. I just see how they treat my younger sister. She's always been the golden child. She could never do any wrong. She got married young to a wealthy family and she does not have to work, but chooses to. My father loves that about her. Lol, but my dad also constantly borrows money from her and never returns it. She complains to me all the time. My sis and her husband never went on a honeymoon because they gave the savings to my dad for a new roof when he spent the insurance money on my mother's brand new car. For this reason, I have not told my parents what I do for work. Not that they ask either. I don't boast about how much I make or how I am the only one sitting at the dinner table with a degree when I come over. I just feel like I get the last laugh when they express their overly opinionated thoughts about me. They do not even have a clue. They think I edit books or do social media gigs for money. It's hilarious. My friends are my family, and they support everything I do. We all push each other to do better, and I couldn't ask for anything more. We travel to reward ourselves for our successes. We have been some pretty amazing places. So, my father sees this on my social media and drafts the narrative for the rest of my family. I don't bother to correct him due to his lack of, let's just say, understanding, and I don't want to explain why I refuse to contribute to his frivolous spending habits. Now for me guys, this one is definitely a 0. I completely understand every single point that OP said there. Why would you tell your parents about how much money you're earning when you know that they're then going to probably ask you to borrow money and just not pay it back? Makes no sense to me. Now if you don't care about your parents' opinion of you, which OP clearly doesn't, then yeah, let them think that you're poor. Let them think that you work an editorial job when really you're earning more than anyone else in the family. That's quite cool. And I reckon that's a very, very cool secret to have. Whatever you do, I mean, you're 29 now. You're not going to tell them, but please, never tell them. Make them think that you're poor the rest of your life, and then maybe at some point just turn up with, you know, a $5 million house and be like, oh yeah, by the way, I actually earn quite a lot of money. I'm not giving any to you, by the way. You can F off. Anyway guys, that is going to do it for this video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie, this has been one of my favourite videos that I've made in the past, you know, few weeks or so. I've really enjoyed this subreddit. Never actually looked at it before, so there's not another video on screen that you can click. So instead, I'm just going to leave a playlist of all my videos there. Go and check them out if you want to. And also, if you are new, hit the subscribe button right here so you never miss out on one of my daily videos. Finally, if you like this video and you want to see more r/confession, drop a like and comment down below. Peace.